Welcome to the Camp Echo Traditional Camp Info Session Virtual Edition. My name is Bernard Rocca. I'm the Executive Director at Camp Echo, and it is my responsibility to make sure that our campers and parents and families are all having positive, safe experiences with Camp Echo, and that we're doing things in a manner that will sustain us for many generations to come. We're really fortunate that we're coming up on our 100th anniversary of camping in Fremont, Michigan, coming from the McGaw YMCA, and we want to continue to do so for another 100 years. Shown here on the slide is Lindy Tracy, our program director, who works a little bit more closely with all of our campers and staff, delivering life-changing programs all summer long. In this session, I'm going to cover Camp Echo's goals and values, talk a little bit about pre-camp planning, what to expect on the first and last day, an outline of the daily schedule, and highlights of a few special days and activities that you can expect at camp, and answer some common questions that come up. Do not hesitate at any time to reach out to us via email or phone at the Camp Echo office if you have questions that aren't covered in this presentation. I want to start out with some Camp Echo language. We have a lot of terms and acronyms that we use at camp. So just a few from this list here. A&C, that's our arts and crafts area. We have team leaders that we know as leaders in training and counselors in training, part of our leadership progression for teens, transitioning from traditional camp campers into becoming staff. We have a couple of wilderness teen programs at camp and wilderness teen sites. They're known as Voyagers, and we have a Voyagers group that's at Outpost living in yurts, and a group that's in platform tents at our Birches site. We also have our dining hall porch, known as the DHP, which is a central gathering space that's used often at camp. A few other helpful ones here for you, especially for traditional camp. The TP we talk about a lot, the trading post. See you at the TP, we're going to the trading post. And then a few different parts of camp. On the last slide, we had the east side. On this slide, we have the west side and the valley. These are parts of camp that create kind of neighborhoods for some of our traditional camp cabins. Much of camp is focused around our peninsula. And so when we talk about the east side and the west side, those are different sides of our peninsula, which is where Camp Echo started back in 1924, and where many of our camper cabins are located still today. And Saska is an amazing time at camp. It's our rest hour. I want to start by talking about our goals and values. It's really important to be intentional about why we go to camp. And we encourage our campers to chat with their parents about why they're going to camp, what they're hoping to achieve, and to share with us via the camper forms why campers are going to camp, what they hope to achieve, so we can do our best to deliver on those goals. At Camp Echo, our broad goals are safety, community, and personal growth, and of course, have fun. We really believe that in order for campers to have positive experiences, we have to start with a foundation of safety, both physical and emotional safety, teaching our campers about the expectations and rules and how to get support if things aren't happening that are in alignment with those, knowing how to ask for help and who to ask for help. And then transitioning into that idea of community, developing a sense of belonging for all of our young people at camp, and working to be inclusive of others, no matter what their identity or beliefs, and building a really strong, diverse community through that, and making a lot of new friends. Every time we have in-person gatherings for traditional camp, first-timers, so many of our campers say that they're really excited to make new friends at camp, and that's a part of building a strong community. Personal growth, so many opportunities to try new things, to gain independence, to develop leadership skills, especially for our older traditional camp and teen participants, and having fun. We often talk about having fun is not our primary goal, but it's what happens when we do all these other things well and live it through our core values that are common to many programs throughout the YMCA of caring, respect, responsibility, and honesty. And again, our campers often say, Fun is what happens when we do all of those other things. When we're caring, respectful, responsible, and honest, we know that everyone in our community, everyone that we interact with, will be having a fun experience. So we want to start by talking about getting to camp. Almost all of our campers take the bus or one of the many buses from the McGaw YMCA in Evanston to Camp Echo. It's about a 4.5-hour bus ride, and those buses leave promptly at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings. We ask that you arrive early, around 8 or 8:15 a.m. to get checked in, make sure all the luggage gets loaded on, and so that everyone is on the bus and we are ready to go right at 9 a.m. We do not hold those buses. We got to get going and start camp. So we ask that you arrive early to make that process as smooth as possible. And if you're driving your camper up to camp, we ask that you drop your camper off around 2 o'clock Eastern time. Be mindful of that 1-hour time change if you're coming from the central time zone. And this is slightly before the buses arrive. They tend to arrive around 2:30. We just want to make sure our campers are all there when the buses do arrive. And parents should be prepared to stay with their campers until the buses arrive. On the first day of camp, you want to get to know your counselors. You're going to find out right away who is in your cabin, both the counselors and the campers. So you're going to start to play name games. And we remind our campers that you are going to make new friends as part of camp. And so if you know a lot of people that you're coming to camp with, we try to break up large groups of friends. We only guarantee cabin mate requests of up to 3 friends, so a group of 3. So one camper requests 2 other campers, and if those 2 other campers also request the first camper and the other camper in that group, we'll put that group together, assuming they're within 1 grade of each other and in the same gender cabins. However, if it's a big group, it's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 friends that have all requested to be together, we have to break that group up into smaller groups because we want to make sure that there's no one big group that is kind of dominating a cabin or creating a clique, and that those campers are getting the same opportunity to make new friends as all of our other campers by being in a cabin with more people that they don't know. You also tour around camp, learn more about how we live those core values at camp, and just really start to have the fun playing games and doing other things to get settled. This is the inside of one of our traditional camp cabins. Every traditional camp cabin has 12 beds, 6 bunk beds. 1 set is for counselors right by the front door, which is just out of view behind where this photo was taken from. And then 5 bunk beds for campers, so 10 campers. Most of our cabins this summer will have 8 to 10 campers in them. And you see that each camper, in addition to having their bed space, they have a cubby to store their belongings in. One of the stops on the first day is the clinic to get our temperature taken, make sure we're healthy on arrival at camp, and then also to check in with our physical health team, our health officers and health directors and residents, as well as our mental, emotional, social health team, what we call our MESH squad. Together, we call this our wellness team, both physical and emotional, and they'll check in with our campers to let them know about the supports we have at camp, who you can talk to if things aren't going well, if you're having a hard time. And of course, you can chat with them as well when things are going really well. Our health officers and health direction residents will specifically have one-on-one conversations with each of our campers to go over any prescribed medications that they have with them at camp. And those are medications that are checked in at the buses or earlier in the week at the McGaw YMCA, so that we can make sure that each camper and our staff team are on the same page. All of our information is correct, and that campers know when they'll be getting their medications. And when we talk about prescribed medications, this is anything that campers take on a regular basis. Could be vitamins, it could be something that's a over-the-counter allergy pill, but they take it on a very regular basis, or prescribed medication. Campers are not permitted to have any of these items with them while they're at camp. They all have to be checked in and distributed by our staff team. On either the first day, the day of arrival, or the following first full day at camp, everyone will take a swim evaluation if they would like. We don't force any campers into the water, but we do encourage everyone to at least try the swim evaluation. We have 3 different designations of swimmers at camp. We have our red swimmers, who are our introductory or non-swimmers. We have our white swimmers, who can swim 4 lengths of our swimming area. Each length is about 30 yards, so that's 120 yards without stopping. It does not need to be at any particular speed. It just needs to be continued movement of a recognizable stroke. So it could be elementary backstroke, breaststroke, front crawl. And then after swimming those lengths, they will get out onto the dock and then jump into our deeper area where we have lots of lifeguards supervising. And then they need to tread water for 1 minute, followed by 9 minutes of either treading water or floating. So 10 minutes total. Our blue swimmers have a similar evaluation, but they have to swim 6 lengths of our swimming area instead of 4. Once the swim evaluation is complete, this information is shared with all of our aquatic staff so we can keep our campers safe and doing the right activities. White and blue swimmers are able to participate in all of our aquatic activities, such as water skiing or sailing. The one distinction between the two is that our white swimmers are not permitted to participate in the across lake swim. The across lake swim is something we generally offer in our 2-week sessions for our blue swimmers, and that's the only time that swimmers swim without a life jacket outside of our designated swimming area, which is why they have to be the highest level swimmer, and they're accompanied by multiple boats with lifeguards and multiple swimming lifeguards so that there's plenty of safety measures in place. But our red swimmers can only participate in some of those other aquatic activities with a lifeguard or staff member with them. So if they're going sailing, they could be on a boat with one of these staff members, but they would not be permitted to go sailing without the support of staff, and that's our red swimmers. Similarly, they won't be allowed to go into the deeper water of our swimming areas without a life jacket on. If for any reason the swim evaluation does not go super well at the start of the session, there are opportunities, particularly in our 2-week sessions, to try that swim evaluation again to try to improve our swimming levels. Then we have dinner. Our meals are served family style. Most of our campers will be in the dining hall, but some of them also eat out in front of the dining hall at picnic tables at Cafe Echo. It's really fun to have the opportunity to eat in our dining hall sometimes, outside of our dining hall. And yeah, we eat our meals with our cabins. And we have a variety of entrees that we serve. Oftentimes we have pizza and potato chips on the first night, but we do always have a choice bar with other options, and also have options for anyone who has dietary restrictions and can't eat our main entrees. Then have our opening campfire. It's a long first day from the bus ride in Evanston. Then we have our opening campfire, sing a bunch of songs led by staff. It's a super fun way to kick off the session and bring our first full day to a close. So what's a typical day like at camp? Well, it starts at around 7:30 with a wake up and going to the Kaibos, and we use a bell to signal a lot of the transitions at camp. So the bell will ring for a while at 7:30 to wake everyone up. We'll hit the Kaibo. Our staff will check in with each of our campers just to make sure that they're still feeling well. We want to identify any, potential illness or difficulty sleeping first thing in the morning so we can get attention as needed. Then we all go to flag raising, where we say good morning to each of the cabins and tell some jokes, have a morning reflection that's led oftentimes by a staff member to share a thought for the day with all of our campers and staff before heading off to breakfast. After breakfast, we take some time to kind of work on our responsibility, take some ownership of our own areas and helping camp stay beautiful. So our service task is an assigned task that we do as a cabin to help keep camp clean. So it could be sweeping off our basketball courts. It could be sweeping off the dining hall porch, raking one of our aquatic areas, one of our beaches, picking up litter from our peninsula if there is any. Hopefully we've been doing a really good job of not littering, but then also cleaning our cabin. So we have Expectations for our cabins to be clean every day. Beds are made, the garbage is taken out, the floor is swept, and a few other kind of criteria that our cabins are evaluated on. And then we go into our activities for the day. So the first activity is a cabin group time, followed by 2 camptivity rounds, camptivity 1 and 2, with an opportunity to grab some snacks in between. In our 2-week sessions, our campers have the opportunity to choose some of their activities. So camptivity rounds 1 and 2 are the first of those, where they get to request what their activity choices are for the week, and they'll have the same camptivities for a week and then request a second set of activities and be assigned a second set of activities for the second week. In our 1-week sessions, we'll do each of these camptivity rounds still with our cabin, but going to different activity areas. Then we have lunch. And after lunch, we have that magical rest period known as Saska. And then our third camptivity round, followed by fun swim, which is a free choice time, and then flag lowering, where we all come back together at the flagpole and kind of wrap up our afternoon before taking a little bit of time to regroup with our cabin, get changed if we need to. If we were swimming during fun swim, we can go get changed our cabin with our counselors and everyone before heading to dinner. It is important to note that during those transitions between camptivity rounds and fun swim or camptivities in the morning, our campers are not permitted to go back to their cabins because we don't have counselors supervising the cabins during those times. So we do expect everyone to bring, a small day pack so you can carry the things with you need for the day if you need to change. We do have some changing tents set up in various places at camp, but you can also use the bathhouses during those transition times. After dinner, we have Twilight Fun. That's an opportunity to go to the trading post that I mentioned earlier for a edible snack. We have a variety of snacks, generally sweets, but M&Ms, Skittles, ice cream sandwiches, and so on. And just hang out with some friends for a little while out on our peninsula. After Twilight Fun, we have evening program, which is an all camp activity that goes on for about an hour there until our evening routines begin with checking in at the clinic for anyone who needs those nighttime medications, going through our bedtime routines, brushing our teeth, winding down with our cabin a little bit, and then having our reflection for the evening, which we do as cabins, which is called TAPS Talk, where our counselors will ask a question of each of our campers. We usually sometimes have 2 questions. The first question is generally, what's a miracle moment from the day? Just kind of a highlight so everyone can share what was really exciting to them, what they liked about the day. And then, again, a question that's a little more introspective. It can range. They can be kind of fun and goofy, like if you have any superpower, what superpower would you have? Could be if you got to live in any fictional world from like a book or a movie, what world would you live in? And so on. And so those questions are, vary based on age and needs of the group. And then lights out begin around 9:30 or 10. And this doesn't mean that we have to be asleep at that time, but it means that we're in our bunks and starting to really wind down. Again, that varies by group based on kind of their energy levels and their needs. And our older participants, our teenagers, stay up a little bit later than that. So what activities do we do throughout the day? In our cabin activities, we often focus on team building, working together, communication. So this is a picture from our Team Elements course of a cabin working together. We really try to get all of our groups through the specialty camp activities, horseback riding, archery, and our various aquatic activities. And then our camptivity times that we talked about are with our cabins during the 1-week sessions. And so those traditional camp activities, there's so many, archery, arts and crafts, biking, and so on. The wall and low ropes, that's our climbing wall and our bouldering wall and our low ropes course. For our teen participants and our teen programs, we do have a high ropes course as well, but that's not part of our traditional camp programming. And the horseback riding is something that is signed up for in advance if you want to take lessons as one of your captivities for a full week. So you can let our office know if that's something you'd like to do or you want to learn more about. But all of our campers will have an opportunity with their cabin to interact with the horses or have horse experience if they would like. So here's a picture of some of our horses, and some of our horses have been coming to Camp Echo for 20 or so years. We lease our horses each summer, but we've been working with the same ranch for a long time. I actually have some second and possibly even third generation horses. So what else happens at camp? We have our trading posts I've mentioned a few times. I talked about the edible trading posts, but we also have our non-edible trading posts, which is where we can buy souvenirs or gear like you see these campers wearing. And every camper starts with $60 in their trading post account. That's part of the program fee that you pay to have your camper be at camp, or that's included in that program fee. And with $60, you can buy anything at the trading post, but you can't buy everything. So this is a moment for campers to be thoughtful and work on budgeting. The prices of items vary. Some of our sweatshirts are in the $30 to $40 range. Some other items are available for $10 to $15. So there's quite a range, and you can visit our online trading post to see what some of those prices look like for the summer. And once a camper has used up all their funds, parents and guardians are able to add more money to their account or not. And what has been spent and how it's been spent is viewable in our Camp in Touch camper management system. And all of our campers will go to the trading post as a group with their cabin at some point during the first week, if it's a 2-week session, or during the week if it is a 1-week session. And then it's also open during our Fun Swim free choice time on certain days. Any funds left over at the end of the session are, if it's less than $20 is left in the trading post account, then it is rolled into our scholarship fund, helping us make camp more accessible. And if it's more than $20, then families have the option of getting a refund or choosing to donate it to our funds as well. We also have undernights and overnights. So every cabin will have the opportunity to either do an undernight or overnight while at Camp Echo. And both our undernights and overnights involve leaving kind of the heart of camp for dinner. So going to one of our fire pits, cooking dinner over a fire. Generally speaking, it's sizzle burgers and sizzle veggie burgers, which are burgers wrapped in aluminum foil, cooked over the fire. And then getting to hang out around the fire, play some games, roast some marshmallows. Undernights do all this and then come back to their cabin. And generally, this is our younger traditional camp cabins. Then our older cabins actually will stay out and sleep in tents or occasionally shelters, such as you see in this photo, for the night, and come back for breakfast the next morning. At Camp Echo, a lot of our experiences are structured around progression, giving our younger campers kind of more introductory experiences and giving our campers who return or are older the opportunity to move through greater challenges, which is why we start with our undernights for our first time campers, for our younger campers, and then evolve into our overnight experiences, which are also good kind of initial steps towards our wilderness programs and adventure trips. We also have some theme days. Often in our 2-week sessions, the middle of the sessions are our Olympics, where all of our campers are assigned to a few different teams by cabin. So you stay with your cabin, but are on different teams and get a t-shirt that's your team color, and come up with cheers based on what your team is that fits within a certain theme. We also sometimes have theme days, in the middle of the week that our counselors come up with throughout the summer. And what about Trailblazers? So Trailblazers is an add-on to traditional camp, where campers spend 1 week in traditional camp following the structure that was outlined earlier, but with a focus a little bit more on that wilderness. So their cabin group times are often focused on adventure trip skills, and their overnight might be slightly longer and a little bit more focused on building those trip skills. And there are two different options. So some of our groups do paddling for their offsite adventure, and some do backpacking. And there's another video that you can watch to learn more about this experience, but it's a really awesome opportunity for campers going into 7th or 8th grade who are excited about traditional camp, don't want to miss out on all the traditional camp fun, but want to start learning more about off-site adventures, preparing for possible teen wilderness and adventure trips as well. And there's more. It doesn't stop. So, and have fun. Wacky Wednesday is a really fun thing at camp. So people wear all sorts of goofy outfits, from just wearing their clothes backward to maybe wearing tutus, funny wigs, big hats. So if you want to pack a little something extra for Wacky Wednesday, that can always be fun. We play a lot of music during our cleanup at breakfast. A lot of pop music really gets the day going with a lot of energy, and everyone's dancing at their tables and having a lot of fun. Birthdays at Camp Echo are really special. We appreciate when campers choose to spend their birthday at camp, and we sing happy birthday to them at lunch, give them a cake, and try to kind of find out from them what other things would make their day special. Even if it's rainy, we do our best to stay outside and keep doing the activities. But if it is a little more than rainy, if we have thunderstorms or such, we do move inside. Or if it's cold and rainy, obviously we want to make sure our campers are staying healthy. But we always have fun, engaging rainy day programming ready to go. Sometimes our staff will offer special kind of alternate programming that really aligns with their interests as well, and have an opportunity to teach things that our incredible staff bring with them to camp. Night hikes and so much more. And just the stars. We really try to make sure that everyone takes a moment to look out at the stars at camp. They're so much brighter than they seem in the city. So a few final tips here to prepare for camp. Complete your camper forms early. We want to make sure that we have all that information as soon as possible, and do it with your campers so that they know what's going into those forms, what you're telling your counselors are their goals and hopes, and that you're helping your camper kind of start to think about those things for themselves. Talk about camp, make room to watch this video together. If you've watched this far into it, you're on the right path. But talk about, what they're thinking about that experience, what's, maybe causing them to be a little bit nervous. And again, reassure them that it's normal. It's normal to miss home. It's something that everyone experiences in one way or another. And discuss what, they might do to work through that, whether that's writing letters home, or talking to another friend about it, letting their counselor know, because we want to make sure that, again, we're asking for help in the right ways. If your family is comfortable with it, we do encourage an overnight experience away from kind of the normal routine, whether that be with friends or relatives, before going to camp. That just helps kind of build that muscle, if you will, of getting used to a different environment. And leave a positive impression at the bus departure. We know that sending a camper away for the first time can be emotional for parents as well. But if kids are a little bit anxious and they see their parents are struggling emotionally, that can make it harder. So we want to make sure that we're letting campers know that we're excited for them, and that though we'll miss campers as well, we want to make sure that they know that we're excited for them to have the experience. And have a letter writing plan. So there are a couple different ways you can communicate with campers while they're at camp. You can use U.S. postal mail. You can also use camper emails through the Camp in Touch system. So you can log in Camp in Touch and send a letter that you type up and then is sent to our Camp Echo team in Fremont, Michigan as a PDF that we print out each day for all of our campers, and they get after lunch during SASCA as a time when we collect mail, and campers can write letters back as well. So that's a great way. Just keep in touch, and you can learn more about that at our Camp in Touch portal. Some helpful tips when packing: make sure that everything is labeled, especially if you want your campers coming back with it. They often have things left all over camp. A lot of things look similar, and campers sometimes don't know what they have or don't know what's there. So they forget that they have something at camp that's theirs, which is why it's extra important to pack with your campers so they know what's with them, that they use what's with them. So pack with them and explain to them why certain things are packed so that they use it all. Bring that extra wacky gear, label the bag as well. Make sure that you know what that bag looks like, and again, that your camper knows what it looks like. So if you're packing for that camper and then carrying the bag to the bus and throwing it on the bus for your camper, and they're not really involved in the process, then they might forget what their bag looks like when we get to camp and we have 300-400 duffel bags, and they might have a harder time finding theirs. Don't bring any money. We don't need money. Our trading post does not accept cash. We only use our Camp in Touch system for trading post funds. No screens, so no cell phones, no e-readers, no smartwatches. The only thing that we really ask or kind of expect people to sometimes bring is maybe a simple digital camera that might have a screen on it. But the intention of this screen-free policy obviously is that campers disconnect from technology a little bit, but really we don't want them bringing anything that could distract from the experience, kind of the core experience of camp. So nothing with screens, nothing with games, nothing that connects to the internet, anything like that. And then none of our banned substances, drugs, tobacco, jewels, etc. And just, again, no non-prescribed medications. Everything needs to be checked in with our health officers in that regard, and it needs to be checked in the original packaging as well. So campers, ask questions. Our counselors are so excited to hear your questions. They can help you out if you get lost, if you wet the bed, if you forget what is next or missing home. These are all super normal things that happen at camp, and our staff are trained to support. Parents, similarly, encourage your campers to ask, and give us a call if you have any concerns or questions at any time. So thank you so much. There are, additional YouTube videos to learn more about different parts of camp, and there's information on our website for all of this. So thank you so much for watching this, and we hope it's helpful to you in your planning for Camp Echo Traditional Camp.